What inspired you to create the T1AR certification program?
So what inspired me to create the T1AR certification program, to be frank, was I worked with a company called TQRP, fantastic teacher quality. Hold on, damn, I messed all that up.
Okay, let's start again. All right. We
Teacher
still
quality
recording.
retention.
All right. What inspired you to create the T1AR certification program?
So the T1AR certification program, I seen a need inside of the educational system that was lacking from an educational point of view when you get your certifications or your ACP, ACT, ACP programs. What do they call the accelerated way to become a teacher? And what you actually see on the campuses, depending on what campus that you go to.
Gotcha. And you are a teacher, correct?
Yeah, yeah. Just
By trade. This is not nothing new for you.
no, it's not about. I've been in education 14 years. All 14, I've worked in Title One at-risk campuses across the nation, pretty much.
Across the nation. So, working in a Title One environment, if you worked in all Title One environments, how do you know that it's different from regular schools?
So I've had the experience going into, let's just say, traditional schools where you don't have a high sped population. Also doing professional developments in some of those schools. Talking with some of the teachers because I got a lot of teacher friends around, APs, principals, and it's a distinct difference because of this a couple of things: environmental norms of the kid, stability of the kid as far as home and home life, education be number one instead of number two, three down the line inside of what they need to handle at their in their homes or their environment that they coming out of. So it is definitely a distinct difference to teach in what they call a traditional school, like a school I went to, I grew up in Florence, Alabama, compared to an inner city school like the ones I've worked in Nashville, Atlanta, and Houston, Texas.
Gotcha. So, what will make the T1AR different than any other certification program?
So the T1AR program is different because we are giving the teachers different skill sets to make sure they able to handle, like, to be honest with you, volatile schools that's highly volatile, high transit schools with kids coming in and out of the classroom, reading levels in third and fourth grade, giving those teachers those different techniques to grow the kid from where they're at to where they need to go to be on level as far as the teaching and learning is concerned, and how to give the teacher a win. Because the teacher don't never win or ever win, then they're gonna get discouraged, and all of those things are gonna happen. So the teacher needs a specific set of ways to teach high traumatized students, special population style students, and high behavior in inside and outside the classroom. So we are focusing in on that cornerstone of education in these type of environments.
What type of micro courses will participants expect in this style of certification program?
So the micro courses, let me pull them up because there's a lot. There's a lot of the micros. So in the micro courses of the certification program that we're actually building, have built out, a lot of people might not think I would start teaching teachers how to teach with this first one. This first one is called self. So with self, I'm going into these type of environments that I'm talking about that you find in some of the inner cities across the world. I mean, across the United States of America. How are you governing yourself first? Like how many things are out of order in your life as a teacher before you walk into that classroom that you don't know what's going to happen from day to day. So the more in line and more structured your life is, as far as your bills, how you exercise, how you eat, how your family structure is, we got to get those things as tight as possible. Because when you walk into that classroom with 130 kids throughout the day that all got different background and environments, you got to be able to make sure that you can keep your composure just in case the kids fly off and say something negative towards you, and be able to keep your composure, be able to take in the trauma that they're going to bring to you, because they're going to tell you about their life. They're going to tell you about some things that's heartbreaking. They're going to tell you how they hadn't ate at night, or whatever the case may be. And you got to make sure that you are solid enough to handle that trauma day in and day out for a whole teaching contract each year, as you move forward with if the teachers move forward with their career.
So you're saying that in Title One schools, there's a stacking of trauma. Talk to me about that.
So one more time, I'm sorry.
So in a Title One school, students have the ability to stack trauma on top of teachers.
Yes.
And I said, talk to me about that point.
Yeah, so stacking trauma on top of teachers, like, so I can talk to that in from an experience standpoint. So I had a student come to me in the school here in Houston, Texas, that daddy owed some money to the cartel. And the kid was just telling me, we were sitting down just having a conversation after school, and the kid was telling me that he owed half the money to the cartel, he got half, so they got half their kid back. So she was telling me that their kid showed up in a box on the porch. That type of trauma. So, and now that kid bringing that to the classroom, and even get to the point of me having that conversation with that student, was monumental, because that means I would have had to build a relationship throughout the year to even get the kid to open up like that. Or another case may be, I got a call one day, and kid mama just left him at Walmart and said she going to Indiana. She gone. So she's starting a new life. What do you do with that type of trauma? You know, a lot of kids have seen family members get killed in their face. A lot of kids got a lot of dads and moms in jail. Like, all of these things stack up, and then these be great kids going through these terrible situations. And so that's why you got to have yourself together before you walk into an at-risk classroom that's highly volatile, or the kids have seen volatile situations.
So what are the gaps that T1AR will fill for the educational space for teachers?
So what the gaps that we'll fill or trying to fill is what you see in the textbook that you get out of certification programs, whether it's accelerated or not, and what's actually happening in these type of schools. So one of the gaps, so to speak to a couple of the gaps, one of the gaps is to understand that, or a skill is to understand that every day is a new day in Title One. Because you have a kid one day that's going off, all kind of profanity flying, going crazy. Then the next day they come in, they're an angel. But we all humans. Sometimes we'll hang on to how a kid treated us in their classroom for the rest of the time that we know the kid. Every day, once you master that skill of every day being a new day, that's going to put you on a different playing field, because now you're starting to know how to handle and control the trauma and all the craziness that goes on in the classroom from day-to-day basis. And what's going to happen once you get a hold to that, then that kid's progression is going to get better, because you're going to keep working with the kid, and to the point where they feel comfortable with you as the teacher, you as the principal, whatever the case may be, to calm down, open up, and try to learn. Because their first nature is to buck the system. And so you got to stay consistent with what you do.
So what does T1AR stand for?
So T1AR stands for Title One at risk. So your Title One school with at risk kids that's labeled at risk, or the school might be labeled Title One at risk students. So you might have a strong population of that, and that carries different in different situations, right? So you got a demographic of majority African American, Hispanic, some white, some other, sprinkled into the whole mix of an environmental norm. That's a different Title One at-risk school. And then you got some schools that's in well-to-do areas, but they still consider Title One at-risk. So I'm speaking to those inner city schools and those schools that's in good areas that got high level of inner city inside of the school. So some schools you can go to. So you got a group of kids that's going through AP dual credit. They on the mark. They athletes. They doing all of that stuff. No behavior problems. And then inside of a big school, you also have a school that's considered inner city inside of the good school. And so teachers have trouble with those students. So you need two different styles of teaching going on to understand and recognize what style of kid that you're dealing with.
Yeah. It says here that T1AR is attempting to solve a problem for teachers. So specifically at-risk students, what does that look like for T1AR?
For at-risk students,
Yes.
after the teacher get this style of training, every student's going to flourish. So in the research, in the Hattie research, right? That's why I feel a lot of our courses are based in Hattie research and the techniques that they inquire. They tell you that you can do this high level or considered not high level, right? Once you get that kid and build that environment, you are able to take that kid to monumental levels. Like for myself, I've always taught biology. Kids come in third, fourth grade reading level, and then by the time it's done, and I'm applying all these techniques that's in the certification program, kids, I'm doing 96, 97% pass rating on state mandated tests. And it's not only biology, but teachers. I work with teachers in math, English, history, and so they also see the same type of results. It's just a different way that you got to progress their learning, progress their confidence, progress their willingness to try the work. So you got 3 different streams of progression that's going on that you got to know how to do to deal with whatever the kid comes in with and straighten it out.
So what type of professional development formats will T1AR offer?
So yes, we do online LMS systems, learning management systems, where you can go through the courses, earn your certification. You have different activities throughout the certification program, right? Then we also on campus we can offer whole year PD because we don't want to just come in for 4 hours, give you a bunch of stuff that you're never gonna use. We want to make sure that this is applicable as soon as you leave us and go to the classroom. So we got a combination of a hybrid system where you can be we do some streams, and then we'll do some on campus trainings throughout the year for each school year.
So T1AR is going to help teachers become a better teacher. What would you say to someone who's a veteran teacher who feels burnt out in the system? How could T1AR help them?
First thing we're doing is a needs assessment. So just because you put the word veteran on there don't mean you can put the word master on there. It's so many different techniques that they might not have thought about. And we go through what they call a needs assessment. They use this in the business world. And we give a set of questions, and then they'll go through the process and they say, hey, we do this well, we don't do this well, I never heard of this, that, and the third, to meet them where they are. And then with our seasoned staff and myself, we will make sure that they get the PD that they need from being a veteran teacher, because we all been there, sitting in the PD, they doing first year teacher stuff. We already mastered a whole lot of that stuff, but how are we growing? You know what I'm saying? Like what's going on with us? Like we just sitting there like, oh yeah, we already know to put the desk by the front of the room. You know, like how am I moving these marks? What's the next level? So a question I got asked one day was, okay, how you gonna grow a seasoned teacher? Okay, so I say, what's the difference between habits and automation? That's your growth, because seasoned teachers that's doing a great job in these environments, they have great habits. They got the kids on the system. But now how do you automate your system to stack what they call time? So those are things that we'll teach those advanced teachers.
So if there's one thing you could say about T1AR, what would it be?
Instant success, instant success, teacher success. That would be a tagline. At this point, through the book that we wrote called Spaces, I've had over 25 Teachers of the Year so far.
Wow. Talk about your book, Spaces.
So Spaces is a book specialized. Damn, you got me. Specialized plans to accelerate classroom efficiency. All right, in space, it gives you it's a workbook, so it gives you structure throughout, how to structure your classroom, where the desks go, all of the things, why you need to do this, how to build an LMS system, how to take care of classroom management, what is different forms of classroom management, because you got classroom management, a lot of people throw that word out, but how do you orchestrate classroom management from an automation point of view and save yourself time and give yourself time back with your family on a day-to-day basis. So we get into a whole lot of that. So the teachers that have taken the book or bought the book, went through everything, instant success. Just a quick story. I'm at a campus and a teacher was this when I was writing the book. And the teacher asked me, like, you got that book made yet, or whatever the case may be? I was like, no, just give me a couple days, you know what I'm saying, a couple weeks. Banged the book out. She was the first person I sent it to. Long story short, she ended up being my competition in winning Teacher of the Year. So they called her name and then they called my name. And so I'm not saying I created my competition with the book by putting everything I do in the classroom and she having that much success that fast. It was an honor if she would have won, because she took wholeheartedly these techniques that I've been working on with high level of research and applied them to her class, and you could see her whole day change. Her smile got bigger, walking better. She didn't feel beat down because she was coming out of traditional school into a non-traditional school that you will get some kids that challenge you on all levels, male and female. And so when she mastered that, she was done. She was off and running. So Spaces is a great. That's the base of the T1AR certification program.
Gotcha. All right. Last but not least, new teachers. What would they get out of the T1AR program? Just starting off in their career. How would this certification benefit them?
So this certification is going to benefit them and benefit the educational community wherever they go with teacher retention, because I've been in situations where teachers have spent 4 or 5 years in education and got out in 6 months because they weren't expecting what they seen when they walked in their classroom. So new teachers from a teacher perspective are gonna have success early, which allows for retention because they got a plan going into their subject matter on what to do, what to expect. They've been propped on, like, you might get this situation, you might get that situation, these demographics, this is how you deal with this is how you progress the learning. Like, all of these things we taken out the way through this program. So when they step on campus for the first time, they are instantly ready to go, which allows for high success for the teacher, high success for the students, high retention rate, because you're going to get a teacher to come back. Instead of leaving in 6 months, they might stay for 3 years, right? So their kid doesn't have a change of teacher so much throughout their educational career. And then those teachers that come through this program, they're going to move up faster because they're going to have success that early. And then those teachers become mentors, and those mentors teach the new teachers that's coming in. And now you got a school where you are supposed to have, I'm just going to put it in numbers, supposed to have, let's say, 100 referrals. It might go down to 15, it might go down to 20. You know what I'm saying? Some really low number, because you got so many people in this system that understand what they're going to get into before they get into the system, and how to move the kids and understand how to conduct and govern themselves inside of the room, outside of the room. It just everybody's going to have success. So, and this program is not glossed over. It's not. So some programs you get into differentiated instruction, and that's as deep as it goes. We're talking about diversity and all of this stuff. No, we're getting into how to handle the kids that's full of social media, full of the internet, full of environmental negative norms, what to expect, how to deal with it, and how to manage it at a minute level. So this is a whole different type of program if you want to show teacher retention in a high rate.